In this lesson, we'll talk about the important step of setting up a project within RealFlow. Okay, so whenever you first launch RealFlow, you'll be greeted with this project management window. Now, this is a very, very important step for any kind of a project that we're going to be starting in RealFlow. If we don't set this up properly, then RealFlow is not going to know where to start to store cached data, particles, soft and rigid bodies, things like that. So this is going to be a very, very important step to make sure that we set up really for every single project that we start. So to begin with, we have our base location. So in my case, I've just set up a simple folder on my C drive, Introduction to RealFlow 2012 project. Now, within that, we can now actually define a project name. So in this case, with this being Lesson 2, we can call this Lesson 02 Start. Or we can really call this anything we want. So what this will do is inside of this Intro to RealFlow 2012 project, we'll now have a new folder called Lesson 2 Start. And within that folder, we actually now have this, essentially a scene file, this FLW, which will actually be saved. And again, this will pretty much act as our scene file for RealFlow. So let's go ahead and, with everything set, create a new project. Okay. So now everything is ready to go. Now, if we were to actually navigate to this folder, you can see here's our C drive, our Intro to 2012 project, or RealFlow 2012, and within that, here's our Lesson 2 Start that we just created. Now, if I were to open this up, you can see that RealFlow will automatically make all the proper folders, things like images, initial states, objects, particles, and finally, our actual scene file that contains all of this information inside of RealFlow. Now, as we start to progress a little bit further through this course, we'll start to see just what kind of data will get stored in these different folders. But again, just keep in mind that this is going to be a very, very important step every time you start a new RealFlow project. So the way that I'll actually be distributing the project files for this course is I'll actually have a new folder or a new project set up for every single one of my lessons. So whenever it comes time for you to actually open up one of the lessons and follow along, just simply go up to RealFlow, go to File, Open Project, and within the Intro to RealFlow 2012 folder, again, we'll have a folder set up for every one of our lessons. Just go into the appropriate lesson and then open up the actual FLW. That should get RealFlow set up and ready to go for that particular lesson. So that's just a quick look at how we can start to set up our project files. So in our next lesson, we'll start to look at some of the actual navigation and moving around within RealFlow.